Yay! Greetings and good morning from an area that I'm going to affectionately refer to as the middle of goddamn nowhere. We're out here, somewhere just northeast of the Quabbin Reservoir, out in central Massachusetts. You know how it is. And I'm in a power line easement in an area that I realized as I got in here is essentially just this vast, road network through a state forest out here. So this is just cutting through what is effectively just a number of square miles of just woodland, just public woodland, which I did not know when I came out here. I was expecting to pull off the side of the road and pull up to this spot to see what I was hoping to see. A really cool Gentian that I will, of course, take the time to go into great detail and to show you. But also, you have Spiranthes going off everywhere. You have all these cool asters going off. You have quite a bit of good shit going off, effectively just on the side of this little service road here. And I'll get into it. It's actually, I kind of walked down a little bit further because I wanted to see, what was going on, if anything. And then I realized, after walking maybe, 5 minutes, the quarter mile from where I'm looking back now, where I turned onto this little trail here to here, everything was kind of up the hill. Actually, I'm looking back now. It's not really up the hill. It was kind of in a depression behind a hill behind me. I'm going to go check out what's going on down here in this little rill. I'll turn around. I'll show you Gentianopsis. I'll show you the Spiranthes orchid. I got a couple things to say about that, even though this has kind of been the season of Spiranthes. You get a ton of species in that genus up here, okay? It's cool. It's interesting. It's a taxon that's undergoing some active revision right now, and I've read some of the papers. I want to flex some of that knowledge, We'll get into it. I haven't really done any, ranty sort of thing. So this might end up being a good episode. I'm trying to get a few videos in today because it's already mid-September. I've barely been able to botanize. I did it on Labor Day, and then here we are now. And then in another 2 weeks, everything's going to be pretty much wrapping up. Of course, last year I did squeeze out a couple in October. One down there on the Cape. One in my backyard. It doesn't matter. I'm actually getting those videos. Those videos are going to come out in November, in October this year, which would be pretty cool. But I digress. So we got a cool Gentian. We got an orchid that we've seen, we've talked about before. You get some other cool stuff going on, just inherent to this sort of disturbed habitat. Like, for example, I won't take up too much time about it. But down there, you got one of my favorites. You got the Comptonia peregrina there, in the family Myrticaceae, not Myrticaceae. I'm always gonna forget it. Myrticaceae, the wax myrtle family, and then up over here, kind of on. Oh, actually that works. Kind of up on this bluff, you got a cool species of juniper. It's Juniperus horizontalis, whatever. It's the creeping Jupiter. Jupiter. The creeping juniper, which you get in habitats like this, typically kind of cresting the top of the hill. It's got a different growth form and different needles than common juniper, but you won't ever see it growing into a tree like Juniperus virginiana, or and then it's got a different growth habit than Juniperus communis, the common juniper, which you also got over here. Anyway, that's all to say, you get some pretty interesting stuff out here in the middle of nowhere, in the power line cut. It seems to go on forever. Take a look down here in this corner down over there. I'll come back and then we'll go show you what we actually came out here for. So we got quite a few things to see today. Okay, here's the stuff that gets all you nerds excited. Here's a nice Spiranthes. This is a good one. These things are actually kind of everywhere here, and I'll probably get a good shot of them where they kind of cluster together. Just 'cause it's nice, you know what I mean? It's nice. What can I say? Spiranthes as a genus is having a great year this year, as evidenced by the fact that if you've been, binging the videos that are specifically from, this year, this season, I kind of covered them a lot. This is like the 5th species of Spiranthes we're going to cover. All of them are kind of similar. I'm going to get into that right now. So, Spiranthes cernua, and I'm pretty sure this is it's got to be either Spiranthes cernua or Spiranthes ochroleuca, and Spiranthes ochroleuca, I don't know, it's one or the other, was, at one point lumped in with Spiranthes. I kind of hinted at this last year when I actually talked about this exact species, Spiranthes cernua, and I, got into the whole species complex thing. So they recently split a bunch of these out. You had Spiranthes cernua, you had a couple other species, some got lumped in, some got lumped out. They basically split that species up into several new species. Of course, I'm pretty sure this is cut and dry, just based on the habitat, based on the location, and based on the appearance, just the Spiranthes, cernua. All right, and usually what they're going off of is the sepal morphology, the angle of the flower head, and a couple other things. Like there's a little bract that subtends, you can see it if I hang on. This is going to be a little bit difficult because these things I'm kind of in a bad spot to film. Let me get down here. Let me actually show you what I'm talking about. How they're splitting these up now is it's really hard to do based on floral morphology. The flowers of all of these closely related species look pretty similar, but I'll put a little arrow in there. You get that bract on the left there. You have the angle at which the entire flower nods, and then you also have to factor in the angle at which these sepals kind of go. That's a lot of the diagnostic there, and even then there's so much goddamn overlap and so much hybridization. Some Spiranthes you can pick out pretty easily. Tuberosa is so much smaller than the rest and is not in this complex. Vernalis has that green labellum. What else? What else can you go by? I guess Casei looks a little bit different too. So you get a lot of species of Spiranthes, almost as many as Platanthera, but just unlike the Platanthera, Platantheras all look goddamn different. Even Psychotes and Grandiflora, which are both, majestic purple guys, you still can look right in there at that nectar spur and tell immediately which one you're looking at. Plus, those two species bloom at completely different times of the year. All these Spiranthes kind of line up right now at the end of summer, early fall. They all kind of look more or less the same. And there's so much variability between, how many flowers are on the inflorescence, how big are they, how tall, even growth habitat. Like, I never would have thought of seeing Spiranthes in a power line cut. I've seen them in moist meadows, but you get the idea. I'm pretty confident that this is pure and simple Spiranthes cernua. That's one of the more common ones. Habitat type's right. Everything about its appearance, looks right to me. And the only thing that really helps you out is you can kind of divide the more northern upland species from the species you get more, down here in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then even, eastern New Hampshire, Maine, the coastal plain species from the upland species. There's relatively few that co-occur, but it's a beautiful plant. You zoom out, easy to spot, adds a lot of orchid interest to September, and it's in that nice Orchidoideae subfamily, all those terrestrial orchids, just like Platanthera. I really thought they were more epidendroidy orchids in New England, but I guess, our three, I guess the most common one you're likely to come across is probably the pink lady slipper, which is Cypripedioideae, which is pretty different than the rest of them. But barring Cypripedioideae, what are we likely to see? Spiranthes, Platanthera, and Goodyear, and all three of those are all in Orchidoideae. More specifically, I think they're all even in the same tribe, Cranchiae. I'll look that up. They might even all be in the same tribe, but whatever. It's been the summer of Spiranthes, or I guess you could say it's going to be the fall of Spiranthes. These will keep going through October, This guy's just, opening up shop. Some of these are still in bud. Some of them are wrapping up, but, it was nice to get intimate with the 5 species, I got intimate with 5 different species, and I could tell you, the last one I would have seen over Labor Day weekend a few weeks ago is Incurva. I can tell you that one and this one are different, and it has all to do with the angle at which, these are nodding, and then of course you look at that face view. The sepals on Incurva are doing something different. And Incurva, I believe, is one of those ones. In fact, I know for a fact it was one of those ones that just got separated out from the species Spiranthes cernua, just based on very, very minute, morphological differences. And sometimes, you gotta bust out the genome. I spend all day thinking about this shit, and then I go home and I listen to a podcast. God, who was it? Fucking Tom DeLonge was on Steve O's podcast. Don't get me wrong, I like Steve O. Nothing against Blink-182, nothing personal against him. He's talking about all this bullshit about UFOs and higher consciousness and vibrations and everything is just energy and all this just high concept, low, high concept, low, concept versus sustenance. Low sustenance ideas, that don't actually serve any practical purpose but make you sound really smart. These guys can talk all they want about, interdimensional travel and time space, blah, 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 blah. Do any of them know, what a species complex is? If any of them, they'll sit down, they'll talk about all this bullshit that you can't prove one way or another. It's all just concept. They ever just sit down and try to key out a few, why don't you go key out some Symphotrichums? Go key out some Solidago. Go fucking key out some Spiranthes. Then we can talk about, higher levels. You won't care about that bullshit anymore because you'll realize there's so much beauty right in front of you that you don't need to start talking about the shadow realm. You don't need to start talking about all that stuff or thinking about it or pretending as if it has any sort of governance on, I have to work a 9 to 5, I don't have time for that shit. Sorry. I wanted to rant about that for a minute. But yeah, go key out some Spiranthes. Then we can talk about, higher vibrations. Because I'm on a pretty high vibration right now looking at this thing. Okay, here we go. Here's what I came out here for in the first place. This is Gentianopsis crinita. Alright, this is the greater Fringed Gentian. Gentianopsis is the genus of Fringed Gentians. Obviously in the family Gentianaceae. In the order Gentianales, a wonderful order of plants that gives us the gentian family, the coffee family Rubiaceae, the milkweed family Apocynaceae, lots of good shit in that order Gentianales, including this guy. And indeed, gentians are not really something I've sought out before. I mean, I've covered Plymouth Rose Gentian, Sabbatia Kennediana, which is, an equally beautiful and iconic plant of New England, at least on the Cape. And I think I've talked about, Gentian clausa, which is a much more, that's the most common species. Gentiana clausa and then Gentiana andrewsii are the two that are, a little bit more common and abundant in the region. I digress. Lots of great genera within that family. A lot of them kind of rare, and almost all of them displaying, beautiful, vibrant pigments like this one does. And, this is kind of a rare species, I guess. It's, you get it in New England. I don't even know if you really get it in the mid-Atlantic, but you get it in New England. I think you get it heading out, west towards the Great Lakes, and that's about it. This is not one of those ones, kind of following the two common tracts you see the distribution of a lot of plants in New England take are they appear in New England in the upland areas and they go west out to the Great Lakes, or they hang out along the sand plain, so they're found all down the East Coast, or they are, common in New England with a tapering distribution down Appalachia. You get a few, you start to pick up on patterns of distribution. A lot of plants in New England are either at the eastern end of their range because they trend north through the Great Lakes, or they're at the northern end of their range because they trend south through the Appalachians. You get some that do both. You get some that are just broadly, found throughout the east. And then, of course, you get some that are endemic, especially down in the Cape and up in the mountains. You get some pretty localized species in the White Mountains and on Cape Cod. All that to say, though, this species appears to have once been much more broadly distributed and is now having something of a range contraction. It's become rare in recent years. And judging by the fact that it's growing in a somewhat disturbed habitat, I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest it probably likes these damp meadows, but it probably liked it more when things used to burn, when there was some sort of regular disturbance coming through. And I'm not talking about, your West Coast forest fires. I'm just talking about low brush fires, clearing out, a lot of this stuff that come through. They clear this out. You know what I mean? There's the forest right there. This is not natural. This is a power line cut, like I've said. But what do we say about power line cuts? They're fun places to play, all right? Get lots of cool stuff. And yeah, it's just sad. Look at this thing. I don't even need to say anything. Look at how those flowers overlap, those petals overlap. Look at the fucking fringes. Oh my god. 4 petals. Fringed, soft as hell. Doesn't really smell like anything. Bifid stigma, which you see on Sabatia too. I guess that's a commonality in Gentian. How many anthers you get down in there? Or stamens, I should say. 4 stamens, so we're dealing just kind of universally with parts of 4, I guess. You can see them down in there. What's this? Oh, that's Baptisia. That's not what we're looking at. And then there are those leaves. Opposite colline leaves. And I don't know for a fact, but... Oh, I guess you don't. A lot of these Gentians will have a basal rosette, but I can't really see anything down there. It might be down there, but there are those opposite colline leaves for sure. And look at the goddamn pointed sepals on this thing. Oh my god. That's downright beautiful. And in fact, even look at in bud. A lot of these Gentians, even in bud, they're still amazing. Look at, can you make that out? Can you see the little frills on that flower and bud there? Oh my god. It doesn't even look real. Looks like something you would, like a fake plastic flower or something. It feels like fabric too. So Gentianopsis crinita, that's the reason we came out here today. I gotta thank my orchid buddy. My orchid buddy for turning me on to this plant. He didn't give me this location. I had to figure this one out myself. So I'll be able to send him some pictures of this and I'll say, hey, I found it. It's a great plant, you were right. But yeah, Gentianaceae, definitely worth looking into. You get some pretty common ones. A lot of them are cleistogamous, so they don't open. So what happens, I know Gentian clausa and Gentian andrewsii both do this. They just look like a little blue bottle. And what happens is, you know, you'll get a bee, something, you know, something with some girth to it, like a bumblebee can get in there and rip the thing open. But as you can see, these are chasmogamous. These are open. So, you know, whoever, it's open season on whoever wants to pollinate them. Oh, there's a really cool butterfly behind me. Maybe he's going to come pollinate the Gentian, although he looks like he's going for the Symbiotrichum. I don't think a butterfly would be pollinating Gentian. I think these are mostly pollinated by bees. But anyway, as you can see, this one's chasmogamous. It does do something cool, where if the you know, the sun goes away, you have a cloudy, rainy day, they are known to exhibit, you know, nastic movements, and they'll close up. They won't open for the day. But you know, oh, there's an inchworm hanging out on them too. Fascinating plant, beautiful color. Look how just goddamn striking that is. Can you see the inchworm? Hell yeah. That's what it's about, my friends. Inchworms and fringed gentians. You think Tom DeLonge knows what a fringed gentian is? I'm sorry, Tom. Your band was you know, meant a lot to me growing up. I do like it. I don't think you're a bad guy. I just think you're kind of a crackpot, and I think that the world is a lot more benefited by people, you know, people who have that type of free time and free money and supposed, you know, high intelligence like he does could, you know, better serve the people who, you know, better serve the people of the world by, you know, I guess learning actual, you know, not pseudoscience or fringe science, just, you know, you can like that stuff too. I came in kind of hard. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're not directly hurting anybody, you know. I think he's got good intentions with it. You know, but you could always just put that effort into doing something that's, you know, demonstrably going to make a difference. Anyway, that we don't have to talk about it anymore. That's the Fringed Gentian. That's why I came out here today. This video is actually probably going to be pretty long because I got a lot to say about what I'm seeing, which is good. God, I don't know. I wish I knew how many species in Gentianaceae we got in New England. Not too many. At least a dozen, I think. But there's an Agalinis hanging around over here. There's a false foxglove that I saw. I can show you that. I'm going to get some B-roll for the intro. And then if I see anything else, I'll let you know. I passed a cool little vernal pool on my way in. So I'll probably go shoot a quick video there. But for right now, I got to take some pictures of these this Gentianopsis. And then that was a first for me. My camera overheated. Cut me off there. I said, I'm going to go see if there's anything else to see. I'll show you this cool Agalinis, and then we'll go check out that vernal pool. I got to take some B-roll too for the intro. That's what I was saying. Anyway, never had that happen to my camera. It's not hot right now. It's quite nice. It's just very, very bright and sunny. I'm probably getting sunburnt as hell. Okay, so real quick, here's that Agalinis. Orobancaceae, it's a family. If you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know how much I love that family. Orobancaceae. Within the order of mints, this is Agalinis, either purpurea Or there's another one. There's a small flowered. I think this is the other one. This is the small flowered Agalinis. But these guys are just annuals, so they only pop up for about a year, do their thing, partially parasitize. I mean, usually grasses and asters and various different things tapped into that root system. Get that, of course, you know, typical orbicaceae flower structure there, bilaterally symmetrical. I guess they do, kind of. You have opposite or alternate leaves. I gotta figure that out. I can never tell. The leaves are like linear, and sometimes they branch out opposite. Sometimes they're, you know, there's terminology for all that, but whatever. I don't have to spend too much time on this. There's a really rare one that, of course, looks basically the same as this, just somehow, if you can believe it. That's Agalinis acuta. Has even thinner leaves. And I mean, you can see those leaves are already pretty damn thin. Damn near hair-like from what I hear. The sandplant Agalinis. I want to go see that. Maybe I'll have time to do that today. I'll drive out from all the way from here to the Cape. But, you know, it's after Labor Day, so ain't nobody out there right now, you know. Another Gentian. I just passed a nice big robust Spiranthes. There's more of those Gentians. Another Agalinis. Yeah, these guys only live a year, apparently. I didn't even know that until today. Cool plants. Quite a few of them. Usually you have to go by the habitat type, though. They all look kind of similar. Or you have to bust out a ruler and just kind of make a best guess. Because they all have that, you know, linear leaves, pink flower. All kind of do that similar thing. Two of them occur in this habitat. Agalinis maritima likes the salt marshes, and then Agalinis acuta is restricted to sand plains from what I hear, and it's pretty rare. God, what a cool habitat though, huh? Huh? Yeah, bumblebees like Spiranthes. One of the few orchids that actually gives, you know, a pollinator reward. How about that? Let's go see what's going on in one of the other parts of this state forest. I love it. No one out here. More Spiranthes than there are people. We'll make that its own episode.